Never in a million years call yourself quiet or shy, because then you're giving yourself this identity that you don't put yourself out there. And the person who gives themselves the identity that they're quiet or shy is way less likely to take action to improve that. But if you think of yourself as just someone who can put themselves out there, who's maybe introverted, who it just takes energy to do so, then you won't have this identity. You won't hold yourself back. Like, you can be introverted, but that doesn't mean you're shy or quiet. So being an introvert just means you get your energy from being alone. It doesn't mean that you can't public speak, post videos, meet new people, talk to a group of people. All of these things you can do. It just takes more energy to do so. But if you give yourself the identity that you're quiet or shy or awkward, then you'll start to hold yourself back. And you don't want to do that. The one person who you shouldn't hold back is yourself. I mean, you shouldn't hold anyone back, but especially yourself, right? So don't give yourself this identity. Just think about what you can improve on and try and take small steps that are outside of your comfort zone. And if you do this consistently, you'll start to see that you kind of become a totally new person. Like back in high school, I used to be kind of quiet and awkward, and my friends would be like, "Oh, Prav doesn't talk," which is like a crazy thing to say for your friends, right? But I was kind of awkward, right? But then in college and also after college, I was like, oh, wait, I don't have to be like this. I could just put myself out there more and just be whoever I want. I just need to, put work into doing that. And since then, I've been making all these videos. I make comedy skits. I do stand-up comedy. I have made a bunch of new friends. I moved all the way across the country. I've completely changed my entire personality from high school. It was just like me having this mental block of thinking I was quiet or shy that was holding me back. So don't let that hold you back. Because a lot of people, they even go into adulthood and they still have this idea of themselves that they're quiet or shy or awkward, and it's still holding them back. But you can't let that, because this is the one life you get. So if there's things you want to do and your own idea of yourself is holding you back, then that's not a good thing. But we can work on that. And the way to work on that is to first understand when you're giving yourself these labels. So whenever you tell yourself, oh, I'm quiet, I'm shy, so I can't do this, just catch yourself and be like, wait, I don't have to define myself like this. I can just take the actions that would put me outside of my comfort zone. Like, even if you're introverted, even if you're quiet, even if you're shy, or think of yourself as quiet or shy. If you did stand-up comedy once a week for a year, by the end of it, you would be pretty comfortable on stage. You wouldn't think of yourself as that shy. I mean, you're going in front of a bunch of people and you're doing something that's pretty vulnerable. You're telling jokes. So you wouldn't think of yourself as that shy, right? So it's like, if you just did the actions that were associated with not being quiet or shy, then you no longer feel that way. But of course, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when you do it. Really, what you're telling yourself is, I feel uncomfortable outside of my comfort zone. But of course you feel uncomfortable outside of your comfort zone. You're leaving your comfort zone. That's when you feel uncomfortable. So just because you have these feelings that it's uncomfortable doesn't mean that you can't do it. In fact, it means you should do it, because that's where the growth is. And if you do that consistently, then you no longer think of yourself as quiet or shy. You just break down the problem to the next step that you would actually take. Because maybe doing stand-up comedy is a little bit too far outside of your comfort zone to the point where it would be unbearable. But maybe posting a video isn't, or saying hi to a stranger. Whatever it is, that's the next step. You break it down to that step, and then you take that action. And then from there, you do that consistently, and your comfort zone grows and grows. And eventually, you become more comfortable in these social situations. But don't give yourself the identity of being quiet or shy or awkward, because then you're kind of throwing away the game completely. You're flipping the Monopoly board metaphorically. Instead of going space by space, you're like, oh, let me just flip the board. Oh, I'm quiet or shy. I'm bad at Monopoly. Let me just flip the Monopoly board. That's not how it works, right? How it works is you have to roll the dice. You got to play the game. You got to work on yourself. You got to actually put yourself outside of your comfort zone. And the more you do that, the more you'll feel comfortable. And just don't give yourself this identity, because that'll be the one thing that'll hold you back more than anything, because our values are based on our identity, and our values determine our actions. So if you think of yourself as an athlete, right? What does an athlete do? Well, they work out consistently. So if you have this identity of someone who's an athlete, then you would work out consistently. So it's giving yourself the identity does ultimately change your behavior. So don't think of yourself as shy or awkward. Just try and get outside of your comfort zone as much as you can and get used to that feeling. Get used to the uncomfortable feeling, because that's what life is. Life is like a journey uphill, but that's also what makes it meaningful. Because if you were comfortable in every single scenario, life would be pretty boring. If you were amazing at, let's say you played basketball and every single shot you took went in, eventually it would be boring. You know what I mean? It's like if you were like getting fouled and like you're throwing it from half court and it goes in, eventually you would just get bored of playing basketball because the game didn't match your level of skill. Your level of skill was too much for the game. It's kind of like playing a video game that's super easy. It's no longer fun, right? So it's like whatever level you're at, you have to think of it as like this is the skill level I'm at. So like maybe it's just meeting new people in person, or maybe it is doing stand-up comedy, or maybe it's taking an acting class. Whatever it is that puts yourself outside of your comfort zone, that's just the level you're at. And the more you work on it, the more you increase to the next level and you get comfortable in the lower levels. So it's like you just have to put yourself out there consistently. But don't start by giving yourself an identity, because that's throwing away the game completely. And of course, it's not going to be easy. You're leaving your comfort zone. When you leave your comfort zone, you feel uncomfortable. But even though it won't be easy, it will be worth it. Life's not easy, but it's worth it. Take care.